This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
Hey, joining me on the phone right now is a guy who has worked with, I'm going to say pretty much every damn musician in the world, it seems, or everyone that I like anyhow. Jimmy Buffett, John Prine, one of my favorites from NRBQ, Joey Spampanato, Jason Isbell. The list just goes on, but Todd Snider, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're on tour. I think we're in where are we? We're in New Hampshire right now. Got the night off. I'm going to go see the Cowboy Junkies in a little bit.
Oh, not a bad show to see. Not a bad show to see at all. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you are on tour with your Picking, Grinning, Telling Stories, and Taking Requests tour, which I love the name.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's the biggest tour. I've been out here for 30 years, but for some reason I wanted to really do it this year. We're doing like so many shows, just one after the other. But it's cool. We've been out since August. I've been home since August.
Well, I guess after a year and a half off, it's probably welcome.
That's what I was feeling, because I had lived out there for so long, and I never really got the hang of being at home. And so when they said we could book stuff again, I just said, book it till you can't. And all the way to Christmas. So it's going to be like a year and a half that we'll have been gone. And I lost my house, and right before last Christmas, a tornado went through my house. So the one little minute I was going to be home, I went and got a condo and just sat in it. But now when I get back and I go home for a minute this summer, and I think my house will be finished by then.
Oh my gosh, man, that's hard. That's horrible. Well, I did look at your tour schedule, and I was absolutely dumbfounded. I mean, like you said, you're up in New England now. You're coming down the East Coast. You're going to go down across the country and then come back through the Midwest, and that takes you to July.
Yeah. It's a way of life. We have a really nice bus, and it's comfortable. But I've, I was a troubadour and a busker to begin with, so I was traveling already, hitchhiking really, and it just kept going and going, and then I got so used to it. There's a guy named Ramblin' Jack Elliott who was like the original busking troubadour. He was Woody Guthrie's protege or little buddy, and he's still alive and still doing it. And I talked to him a lot about how, it's like once you start, you can't really stop. The older I get, the more I appreciate that I'm going back to these towns again and again and again.
Well, I'll tell you, you are kind of an old school artist. I mean, you cut your teeth way back when in the bars and everything else, and you're based in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, did music come to you just naturally? I mean, or were your parents, Todd, you must go take piano, and
Yeah, no, they really didn't like it that I started doing music, and I grew up in a sports kind of family, but I was always getting suspended, and I just never really had it together, and didn't really show any aptitude for anything. And then I was a busboy, and I made up a song about being a busboy, and just got so much positive reinforcement for it, and everyone said I should go to an open mic, and I went to the open mic, and the guy who ran it told me that he thought I could make it, and no one had ever said that to me about anything. I moved into the guy's house, Kent Finley. He was a songwriting mentor to a lot of people, like George Strait and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he took me in and taught me the troubadour life, and I was already living it at the time, so it was perfect. Like, I was already a hitchhiker and a sofa circuit person, and I was singing it as a way to be better at that. And like, I thought that people will pick you up if you're hitchhiking and you have a guitar. But then as it kept going, it just kept going. And then I would play bars, and like the record guys would come, like the movie. So I just went with it.
Oh man, that was a hell of a ride. Well, I mean, how did you come to work with some of these greats? I mean, John Prine. I mean, God, what a loss that was. But I mean, you just look at, some of the people that you've collaborated with, either singing with or playing with or writing with. I mean, how did that all come about? I mean, is that just because you've been doing it for so long? And
I think so. Right at the beginning, when I was really young, I followed John Prine around like a kid would follow the Grateful Dead, and I did the same thing with Jerry Jeff, and they both got to where they would recognize me. And then when I started coming up, they were both really proud of me, because they'd seen me in the front row of their shows many times, and so as soon as it started, as soon as I got a record deal, John Prine took me on the road, and so did Jerry. And then I just found that in music, it's almost like a version of the mob, except for nobody hurts anybody. They just like the Prines and the Guy Clarks and the Chris Christophersons, they're really protective of people like me.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, there was a time when Guy Clark was alive that it was really known that, you know, Johnny Cash had been the you know, the Don, and when he died, it kind of went to John Prine, and then Guy Clark was the consigliere, and when you'd get mobbed in, you'd go to his basement. Guy Clark, Isabel, Hayes Carl, Jack Ingram, Isabel, myself, everybody has the story about when they went to Guy Clark's basement and got the rules read to them about how you're supposed to behave now that you're part of this thing. It meant a lot to me. He chewed me out that day, but he was also telling me I was in. So he was like, you got to stop this, that, and this and that, because we don't do that. And I was like, we? Okay. I'll take it.
A little inside look into the underbelly of the music industry there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. Well, you are headed to Annapolis for a singles show on the 18th of April in just a couple days, and I would say that's like your album that was just released, but I mean, Christ, COVID threw everything all the thing. But you've got the First Agnostic Church of Hope and Wonder, which goes along with the tour name. That's one of a great name for an album. But is that that's you're promoting as we're going out on this tour?
I only do a couple of songs because the songs on the new album, I just sort of made them up on the spot. I was trying to do something musical that was way out past what I know how to do, and because I had this time, I had just made a studio. I didn't have any touring to do. I didn't have any songs though, and so I started making up this crazy music that I'm still trying to figure out.
Well, it is a departure. I mean, because and I hate to pigeonhole any artist, because I mean that's the worst thing I think in the world that you can do, I think. But I mean, you are generally in that folk country rock kind of genre area, and the new album certainly had a lot of funk in it, and one chord songs. Like, I was dying to try it, even though I thought the people who like me won't like this, but I've been dying to do it, and maybe this pandemic will be an excuse. And I feel like I got away with it, but I still wonder, it's like, should you have done that? Because sometimes I make records and just give them to my friends, like but because they're so weird, and I know that people won't like them. Well, I'll tell you, when I sit there and I wrote this out, I said, it's got, funk and country and folk and rock. And I mean, it shouldn't work if you look at it in writing, but boy, when you, push play, it
kind of works.
It works. It works. Yeah.
No. And I usually play it. I've learned so much about the guitar, especially in the last 5 years or 6 years. It is just kind of blown my head as a musician. I'm not really a musician. People aren't lining up to see what I've learned about recording. They mostly just want to hear what my new lyric is, I would think. But I get away with all kinds of different music, I think, because the connection is a narrative or a lyrical thing,
Well, it is. And, I mentioned that, you cut your teeth in the bars and everything else, but you've also played probably one of the largest stages in the world at Bonnaroo, right?
Yeah, that was a lot. And the one time I opened for Jimmy Buffett in Ohio, and there was 72,000 people. That's my biggest one I've done.
Do you have a preference to big or small?
I like it smaller. I like, my favorite, I think, is like maybe like 1,000 people. The 500 people I like. If it gets to be too many, it gets difficult for folk. I was in a rock band though, and we could play for miles of people. We were really good, but I was just the singer. I didn't have a whole lot to do with why we could move a field of people. I still don't know how they did it.
Right. Well, I can't remember, who was I talking to? I was talking to, I guess it was Felix Cavallari from the Rascals. And, and I mean, we were talking about big bars and, you know, and big stadiums and stuff like that. And he says, oh, hell, big stadiums, man, that's where the money is. You know?
Yeah. That must be. My manager, Albanetta, who was John Prine's manager, he got his start as the tour manager for the Rascals, and he grew up with Felix.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
that was that story. That was probably the guy that put the Rascals Are Coming when they opened, or when the Beatles were coming to Shea Stadium or something like that. There was a great story behind that. That was.
I bet that was Al. That's funny.
Yeah, no, it was a great story, because before they put us at the Rascals Are Coming, and the Beatles manager came and said, "You've got like about 5 seconds to put that off the scoreboard, or we're not playing."
Oh, funny.
it was pretty funny.
Oh, funny.
But you know, I'll tell you, is there any song in your catalog that you just never get tired of playing? I mean,
there's one called "Can't Complain" that for some reason I feel like that's my main song, and I made it up in the '90s, and it's still my favorite one, and I open with it a lot. I made it up after we bombed in Phoenix really bad, and I remember thinking that we were out of place and I was out of tune, and that was the first couple lines. And then that song, I wasn't sure what it was about at first, and it just keeps sort of revealing itself.
You know, the best things come out of the biggest mistakes that you make.
I think so too. You know, the hottest kitchen, you know, or. Yeah,
that's true. Well, I do know that you're bringing it to Annapolis on the 18th, and we are in for one amazing show with Todd Snider. And what can we do as an audience to make it equally as amazing for you? I mean, we're only 300 people here. Okay, we're a real small club, so maybe you should just play 3 times, and then that'll give you your 1,000 people. And
yeah, that's right. Well, actually, like that club, I love that club. That's like a really good size. Like 300 is really fun to play for. So yeah, I mean, and then I even could do smaller than that. Have fun, but those shows, man. Like I tell you, like I don't. Yeah, if I feel like the audience should just be able to do whatever they want to do to enjoy themselves, and I should be able to. You know, have fun with it, you know. So I just, you know, it's not a very professional thing I do.
Right.
But yeah, what could they expect? I'm not sure, you know, but I've been playing that place for so long. I always look forward to it. And almost always, I can't remember ever having a bad time there.
That's always good to hear. Well, I'll tell you, you know, you're going to have a good time with 300 people. Well, actually, right now, it's only still about 270. I mean, so if you want to get tickets, you want to go to ramsheadonstage.com. I just looked. There are about 35 to 36 tickets left, so there's not a whole lot of time to get tickets to see Todd Snider, who's going to be here on April 18th. The show is at 7:30 with the door at 6:30. And I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. I can't wait to see the show. And, you know, I just... have a great time at the Cowboy Junkies tonight, and safe travels in that extra comfy bus on the way down to Annapolis from New Hampshire there. So,
well, thanks for talking to me. I really enjoyed it, man.
All righty. Well, we will see you in a couple days.
All right, man. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Todd. Bye-bye.
This has been a bonus podcast from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.